Gear up, scooter fam. Today we're going to take a closer look at the Cabo Wolf King GTR. How's it going, guys? So today, like I said, we're going to take a look at the GTR and just kind of dig into it and talk about it. Before we get into it, I just want to remind you guys there are 3 ways to support the channel. You can buy me a coffee, join me on Patreon, or pick up some merch. Thanks for your support. All right, I don't have anything else to go over. As far as pricing, everything's been pretty stable. No big changes as of yet. If I see any, I will certainly alert you guys, of course. So let's get into the Wolf King GTR and sort of why I'm doing a video on it today. Just, you know, as I move forward in my my journey towards my next scooter, no timetable, just up front, just want to put that out there. I don't have a specific timetable, but it's inevitable. At some point, I'll be getting another scooter. So to add to my Klima, I want something that kind of complements the Klima, and at the same time offers something else. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by compliment, I guess, is, you know, I want it to give me some things that the Klima doesn't give me, but still offer the basic stuff, you know, the important things. And you know, for example, the GTR is first of all, it's a little out of my planned budget, to be honest, but I still think it's a good deal. Now, I've mostly seen the GTR up around 4,000, if not exactly at 4,000, for the most time that I've been watching it, and it's a good scooter. Right now, $35.99. I think there's a $100 off coupon, so you can get it for $34.99, similar to what you can get for the InMotion RS at the moment. I don't know if it's going to stay that way, right? I don't know how long it's going to be. $34.99. $34.99, my opinion, is a deal for the GTR or the InMotion RS. And so it's a consideration. It's certainly something to keep in mind, something I'll be keeping in mind and watching the price of. Obviously, if they just shoot back up to 4,000, it's going to become a lot less interesting to me. But I like it where it is right now a lot. And another thing I like, the one thing that was kind of steering me away from the GTR is the trigger throttle. I'm not a fan of the trigger throttle. It has a center display, but they kept the trigger throttle on the GTR. So I just really didn't care for that. And I really don't want to, I'm not interested in that. So yeah, it's not necessarily a deal breaker. I just, honestly, if there's something else that I can get that I can get away from that, you know, that has the same kind of level of performance, then I would do that. So the fact that this one even comes with a free thumb throttle, or paddle throttle rather, which I like. I like the one on the Klima, and I personally, you know, I'm kind of glad I, soon, got into my early scooter journey with a paddle throttle and learning how to operate it, because I feel so comfortable with it. The dead zone doesn't bother me in the slightest bit. If I had, tried to approach it from just a regular throttle standpoint, try to use it like a regular throttle as opposed to using the inside of the throttle to gain that control over the smaller increments of movement, I jumped on the scooter and had no problem from the beginning, because I kind of had an idea how to approach it. So because of other people's videos. So it wasn't a problem for me to get used to. It was never a matter of having to get used to. I just jumped on and it sort of came pretty naturally. So I like the paddle throttles, and honestly, I can do thumb throttle. I have the thumb throttle on the Journey Max, and I like them fine. Got no problem with the thumb throttle. But the trigger throttle, like I said, I just don't like the idea of it. I see a lot of people use it, and I know they used to be really popular, but I just don't. I personally don't want to use my fingers to pull the accelerator. Thumb is natural, very natural for the thumb to do that. Uh, whether whether vertically or in. I mean, it's easy, and I get to keep all my fingers on the grip. Uh, yeah. So even when I pull the brake, I'm using one finger. So I wouldn't like that. I'm sure I could get used to it. I mean, I have no doubt that I could get used to it. And I've considered getting other scooters with triggers and figured, hey, I'll tough it out. But honestly, it's just that one thing that I'm just like, if that's the deciding factor, I'll go the other way. But considering that you can use the paddle throttle with the GTR, it makes it more interesting, a lot more interesting to me. And the fact that it's $34.99 at the moment also makes it a lot more interesting to me. Uh, I like the black version with the street tires. That's probably how I would get it, which is right in front of where it is here. And uh, the big thing is it's from under $4,000 is the fastest scooter out there that I know of. And I mean, you can get up into the real expensive scooters, $5,000 to $6,000 or so, and you can get faster scooters at that level. But just the hyper scooter, the RS, the GTR, those level of scooters, it's the fastest of that bunch. And not that that's a big deal to me. I'm probably never going to reach the top speed of the GTR if I did get one. But it's once again, it's nice to have that ability to know it's there. Once again, I also had a 2021 Scat Pack wide body Challenger that would go in excess of 150 miles an hour, but I never even came close to going that fast. So it's just cool to know that the power is there. You can feel the power when you ride it, and it's just enjoyable. I love driving that car. I sold it now a year or so ago, but I mean, great car. Didn't regret it. It was only for fun. I never planned on owning it for a long time. It was just something to have had for a couple years. Drove it around, real fun car, and then I sold it and I got pretty much all my money back because that's why I bought it. But anyway, yeah. So this GTR is an interesting scooter, and if I were able to somehow squeeze in, $3,500 into my budget, yeah, we'll see. But then I would really consider this scooter. So I'm going to go over the specs real quick, just as a refresher for myself and anybody else that isn't completely familiar. So right now it's $34.99, which I feel like is a deal. It's similar to the Emotion RS. They're very close in specs. Some things they do better than the other. The most important one to me was talking about this that the GTR does possess is the dual stems. When you have a scooter that can go 65 miles an hour, you kind of want dual stems, in my opinion. To me, a steering dampener isn't going to do it. Now, the Emotion RS does have dual stems, but it's not quite as stable as the GTR at high speeds, simply because of the design. It's got dual stems, but they're closer together, not as far apart, so you don't have the same level of stability. And also, I feel like another way is I've thought about this, and someone's mentioned this a couple times, but the way that they do the suspension in some of these scooters, like the RS and the Namis, with this spring arm suspension, swing arms, whatever you want to call it, with this style of suspension, with a C suspension. Uh, at high speeds, that can kind of, get out of, because you've got a separation of the way that it sits over the tire, and so I don't know. The GTR has a wide, like dual stem, solid, stable feel, and the suspension goes right into the forks, right where the power needs to be, right where the stability needs to be. And so I don't think you're gonna find another scooter as stable as this one, um, at high speeds. There's probably some that are close. The XTR is probably close, and but honestly, this scooter is as stable as it gets. It's the fastest that there is out there, in its class, which is a decent class. So those things right there are pretty appealing to me. I like the Wolf King GT just fine, and at $500 less right now, ish, it's a good deal as well. But for only $500 more, uh, there are some cool things about the GTR. It's got traction control, which the GT does not, which is a pretty nice thing to have on a scooter of that size with that much power. So that's a good thing, in my opinion. But yeah, the GTR is super stable. So I just want to point that out real quick. And once again, top speed is close to 66 miles per hour. I will never go that fast on this scooter, I'm pretty sure. Uh, I would have no intention on doing so. It would be an accident if something like that happened. Uh, Range is looks like 40-ish miles an hour. Now that first of all, that's great range. I get 40, 50 miles an hour on my Klima 25 amp hour, but uh, because I don't ride at 40 miles an hour on the scooter every time, I ride in the 20s, and at my highest. Not everywhere is meant for that kind of speed, so I go where I can. I go as fast as I can where the conditions allow me to. Up to in the mid 20s. I might have gotten a little above mid 20s, but I'm not staring at the um, at the speedometer. I'm not staring at the speedometer as I'm riding, because I'm not really trying to focus on the speedometer. I'm trying to focus on things ahead of me when I'm going that fast. So it's somewhere around 25 miles an hour ish, give or take a mile or two. The range for me on this scooter would be plenty. It would be immense. The fact that it can go 65, 66 miles an hour, and I will never probably use half that. I mean, the battery's going to last me maybe 60 plus miles. So even though it says 43 miles and that's your range if you ride around like a maniac, but I'm not going to do that. I don't even get out of S mode on the Klima, which is like middle, right in the middle. There's two modes ahead of it, and there's two modes behind it with eco and dynamic mode, and then there's C and X mode above where I'm at. And I could, at this point, I've been riding the Klima long enough where if I jumped it up to C, I bet I could handle it a little better. But the truth is like S, I have no problems getting everything I need. I have yet to take S as far as it as it can go. So there's no reason for me to jump up to the next one. To be honest, I'm real happy with the way the NEMA performs, and the NEMA. I'm real happy with the way the Klima performs in S mode, sports mode. All right. So the range for me would be much more than that. But even if I only got 43 miles of range, that would not be a big deal to me. That's plenty. But I'm fairly certain I would get way more than that. 0 to 15 is the best out there at 1.6. It does tie the XTR, but that they are both number one in 0 to 15. Weight is just about 140 pounds. Really heavy scooter. This scooter is not to be taken lightly, no pun intended. Uh, but yeah, it's a super beefy, heavy scooter. It's the beefiest of the beefy, as far as that goes. But it's built for that. It can handle off road stuff, especially with the traction control, quite a bit better than other scooters of that size that don't have that ability. So, uh, it's I really like it. I would rarely use it on off-road stuff, but it's nice to know that it has that capability just in case. So I like that the fact that it's so beefy. Anyway, that's one of the things that the Klima. Although to me, to be honest, everyone's like the Klima is such a nice, compact, small scooter, and of course I'm coming from a uh, Hover One Journey Max, and it's a decently fast scooter for its size and acceleration and so forth. But it's a tiny scooter compared to the Klima. I mean, it's half the weight. Weighs half as much as the Klima. Um, it goes about half as fast. So, uh, this, it stands to reason how that's. But so for me, stepping up onto the Journey Max, which is nothing really. You hardly have to step up to actually having to step up on the Klima is way different. When I remember going to when I was riding around Journey Max quite a bit, and people were complaining about the push to start feature that you couldn't turn off on the Journey Max, which you can't. Um, but it's the scooter's so light. The scooter's so light. So I got used to that. I'm like, who would worry about turning this off and on? You just get on and kick and get going. And then I got the Klima and I started trying to use the kick to start function. I didn't turn it off. And with this 80-pound scooter, uh, it was very difficult to get up to a speed and stay there long enough to jump up there and get the, and I was having to kick again and again and again. So I turned that off. And I like it. I like it much better just being able to step up on there and get going. But yeah, so kicking a scooter like that around is a big deal. But so the Journey Max to me, I know you can't turn kickstart off, but it's not a big, to me it's no big deal at all. You barely have to step up there to get it going fast enough to. I mean, you can lean forward and get your momentum to push that scooter fast enough. I've done it to get going. So it's got a real low threshold for that. When you barely have to get going before it'll kick in, and then and like I said, it's so light that it's very easy to kind of get going. So anyway, that was just a sort of a note on that and the beefiness. And so this would be I can imagine what this would look like next to the Klima, because the Klima is the largest scooter I've ever personally ridden by far. So, and it's pretty beefy to me, being 80 pounds compared to 40-ish pounds on the Journey Max. So, going from something, if I did go this way, to a GTR, which is 140 pounds, almost double what this scooter weighs, and then having to step up on it. And this scooter is huge. I think, I'm not sure if it doesn't, but I think it has the highest ground clearance for off-road capabilities and so forth. So stepping up on that scooter is a real task. But still, I like it a lot, and I probably will get used to that. So that's doesn't really bother me so bad to do that. Max weight is 330 pounds. Plenty more than I'll be needing. Two 2,000 watt motors, beast motors, pretty much, like I said, get you up to the fastest speeds of any other scooter in this class. Battery size is a 72 volts. It's a 35 amp hour maybe. But plenty of battery to, like I said, get you where you need to go. It's a 72 volt system. Obviously, it's dual motor controllers. The throttle once again comes with a trigger throttle. But if you get it from Cabo, they throw in this scooter bag and a paddle throttle. And I'm not sure whether I would get mine from Cabo or Fluid. It'd probably be one of those. I'm guessing, but it all depends where I could find it at for the best price. And so the period, I mean, that's what it comes. That would pretty much be what it would come down to. If I could get a better deal on Cabo than I can get on Fluid, I would take that. If I can get a better deal on Voro, if they have it in stock, I'll be fine with using Voro. Um, I'm not really, avoiding any of those places to get scooters at this point. So, yeah, wherever I can get the best deal is where I probably would get it from. And so, but I do know that paddles are available, and I can use it for the GTR, which is fine with me. That makes it a lot more interesting as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, you got front rear hydraulic brakes, front rear hydraulic suspension. These are 12-inch tires. Also, the largest among the group of these scooters. 11 is as big as it's going to get at this level, and most scooters in general. So to have a 12-inch, you only have a handful of these out there that are above 11. The GTR does have 12-inch tubeless tires with puncture resistance. And the IP rating is IPX5, and the GTR is UL listed, which is awesome. So I believe it may be one of the only Cabos that is UL listed, but it is UL listed. So that's it pretty much to go over on that. I was going to talk about a few more comparison scooters, of course, some others to consider, and not going to go over all their specs, but just kind of glance and kind of see how they stack up a little bit. Obviously, the InMotion RS is a great option, in some ways better than the GTR, but in ways that are the most important to me, which is stability, I think the GTR wins. And so if I'm gonna get a scooter that goes 60 miles an hour plus, and I'm gonna get one that has the most stability, because that's probably the most important thing to me. So to be honest, looking at this scooter and looking at the GTR, if I were comparing them, because I think they're in the same class, I think the GTR, if one's a better deal than the other at the time, that's another consideration. But to be honest, the GTR is a bit more attractive to me than the InMotion RS at a glance. Then there is the T-Wing Mars XTR. It's probably the best comparison to the GTR. Maybe I'll do a comparison video in the future on these scooters if I haven't already. I have to go back sometimes. I do so many videos, I have to make sure I didn't do a comparison video before on it. So if not, maybe I'll do one on the GTR versus the XTR. I think they're a good heads-up comparison. And right now they're fairly close in price, $34.99, $32.49. And so all depending on where how they move after the holidays will influence my decisions, if you guys are listening. So the Mars XTR probably is the best competitor for the GTR. The top speed is almost exactly the same. The range is a little better, I think, actually. It has a really it's not UL listed yet that I know of, and if that changes, so I get an update on that information, I'll let you know. But there obviously the deal on the XTR is great, being $32.49, but the GTR being so close in price at this moment, I like it a little better. I like it a little better than the XTR right now. 3249 versus 3499. The GTR is worth a couple $100 to me. A couple $100 more. I like it. All right, and then the last one is the RoadRunner RX7. Just gonna compare it to that real quick. This scooter, you know, once again, I mean, you're talking about stability, and this scooter has a steering dampener, and it can go up around the same, the same in the mid 60s, I believe, and at least into the 60s for sure. And it's got it's specced out. The scooter is specced out. The PMT is 11 by 4 inches. I mean, everything this scooter has is just top. It's KKE shocks. Like I said, PMT 11 by 4 inch tires. Magura brakes. Samsung battery, and IP67 rating overall. And the scooter just has everything that you want out of a scooter. Right now it's $37.99, I think, $3,800, which I think is a good deal for that. If you're looking at those things, this scooter is pretty awesome. The only thing that makes this scooter not attractive is, and they had a good idea, but it was poor execution, was in the luminor panels. And I know that some people have heard this, and I've done research after research after research. I've asked people that have bought them and had them for a while, and so I don't hear a lot of people complaining, but at the same time, I don't see a lot of definitive proof that it's been taken care of. The only thing I really find is stuff like on Reddit, and people still report that they're having these issues. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of died down as far as people like jumping out and trying to report it on, like on YouTube or something like that. And but they haven't addressed it. You can't see anything in their on their website. When you go look at it, they talk about it somewhat, and they talk about how it's the electro reactive paint that they run electricity through, run voltage through to get it to light up, and all that's fine, but it's not very durable, and so that's a big deal. I almost rather not have it. I'd rather have all these other things, and just, can we just put some regular panels on it? Some that don't glow, so I don't have to see it get messed up. It's a cool idea, but the scooter itself is awesome if you take that out of the picture. But that takes it down. That takes it down to me, and so I just can't spend that kind of money on a scooter without knowing that problem solved. I would like some definitive evidence of that. Certainly, even just a disclaimer on RoadRunner's site that said, you know, we're aware of the problem with the luminor panels. This has been handled, and we fully stand back, by our products. And if you have problems with yours, but something along those lines just make me feel better about the fact that there have been issues instead of trying to like dodge the issues. So I don't like that, and I wish they would address it. It would make me feel a lot better about spending that kind of money if I did decide to spend that kind of money. And to be honest, for the level, even with what it costs right now, which is more than the InMotion RS, more than the GTR, it's got enough really nice stuff on it to where I think it almost warrants a little bit higher price than those. Although still very competitive with them, there's all these little extras that you get. You get all these. I mean, it's a top of the line scooter with top of the line characteristics and features, but you've got this huge flaw. You've got a huge flaw that just makes it just not want to get. So they need to address it, in my opinion, like on the front page when you open the website. First thing you see is like, boom, we're aware that there's been issues with the luminor panels. We want to address it. This is how we fixed it. This is how we solved it. We guarantee this product over whatever period of time, or we'll replace the panels. and then maybe even have an option to just, not have it. I don't know how. I don't know how that's possible. But anyway, I don't know. Uh, and in any case, guys, if you enjoyed this content and you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Buy me a coffee, join my Patreon, or buy some merch. Thanks, and happy riding.